He backed into my mailbox and drove off. I caught it on my camera. When I showed him, he said, "It's just a mailbox. Don't be dramatic." I filed a report. He laughed. But 2 weeks later, he got a certified letter with footage attached and a lawsuit he didn't see coming. I live in a quiet part of Springfield, Missouri. Nothing fancy. Just a one-story house with faded paint and a sagging porch swing. The neighborhood's full of people like me, retired or close to it. People who mow their own lawns and wave at each other even if they don't talk much. I've been here 15 years. That mailbox out front? I put it in myself. Cemented it into the ground one summer when my back could still handle digging. Navy blue, with white reflective numbers. It leaned a little, but it had character. 3 months ago, a new guy moved in 2 doors down.
Vince.
Maybe mid-30s, big guy, always in gym shorts and tank tops even when it's cold. He drove this huge black Dodge Ram, the kind that rattles your windows when it goes by. I never liked the way he looked at people, always squinting, always annoyed. The first week he moved in, I waved when I saw him. He didn't wave back. So, I left him alone. Didn't want trouble. One Monday morning, around 7:30, I was standing at the kitchen sink rinsing out my coffee cup. I heard a loud crack, like wood snapping. I looked out the window and saw Vince's truck pulling away from the curb right in front of my house. I stepped outside, and that's when I saw the mailbox. Or, what was left of it. The post was split in 2. The box itself was smashed flat, hanging off by one screw. It looked like someone had taken a bat to it. No note. No knock. Nothing. I knew it was him. It was too early for anyone else to be out, and he was parked right there. But I didn't want to guess. So I checked the camera above my garage. I'd installed it a few years back after some teenagers stole Christmas decorations. It caught everything. I watched the footage. Vince backing out fast, not even looking. His rear bumper clipped the post and snapped it in half. He stopped for a second. You could see him glance in the mirror. Then he just kept going. I took the clip, put it on a flash drive, and walked down to his house later that day. He answered the door holding a can of Monster and looking like he hadn't slept. I said, "Hey, just letting you know you hit my mailbox this morning." He stared at me, then started laughing. Like it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. "It's just a mailbox, man. Don't be dramatic." I told him I had it on camera. He raised his eyebrows like he was impressed.
Oh, wow.
"So what? You gonna cry to the cops over a mailbox?" "I already filed a report," I said. He laughed again. "Jesus. You old guys got nothing better to do." He closed the door in my face. So I followed through. I went to the police station and gave them the footage. The officer who helped me, Denton, was respectful. He watched the clip and nodded, but didn't look surprised. "Honestly," he said, "this happens more than you'd think. But the damage doesn't look like it hits the felony mark. It's minor property damage. We'll file the report, but it'll be low priority." "What are my options?" He scratched his neck. "You can try small claims. If you've got the footage, that'll help. But guys like this? They don't usually take court seriously. He probably thinks nothing will happen." I said, "He's wrong." And that's when I got to work. I'd never filed anything in court before. Didn't even know where to start. But I spent that whole afternoon reading the Greene County website, printing out forms, writing down every step. Small claims court lets you sue for up to $5,000. My mailbox didn't cost nearly that much, but it wasn't about the mailbox anymore. It was about the way he laughed. The way he looked at me like I was just some weak old man who'd never stand up to him. I filed the paperwork that Friday. Attached the video. Listed the damages. $337 for the box and post. Another $60 for labor, since my back's not what it used to be, and I'd have to hire someone. But I added in one more thing. Intentional property damage. Because that pause on the footage. When he looked in the mirror and chose to drive off, that mattered. The clerk stamped it and said he'd be served within 10 business days. I paid to have it sent certified. I wanted that signature. I wanted proof he saw it coming. 2 weeks later, I saw him get it. I was outside sweeping the driveway. The mail truck pulled up. Vince was in his yard, shirtless, drinking from a Gatorade bottle. The mailman handed him a thick envelope. I saw him sign for it. He opened it right there, read the first page, and started shaking his head. He looked up, saw me watching. "You're really doing this?" I said nothing, just kept sweeping. He threw his arms up and walked back into his house. That night, around 9 p.m., someone pounded on my door. I didn't answer. I could hear him out there, breathing heavy. Then I heard, "You don't know who you're messing with, man." I reported that too, made sure it was on file. A week later, he filed a countersuit. Said I was harassing him. Said I was stalking him with my creepy cameras and trying to ruin his life. The court date got set for mid-April. I showed up with everything. The video footage, a copy of the police report, my repair receipts, a letter from my new handyman, and a printed record of his fake countersuit. He showed up late, in a hoodie and basketball shorts. No lawyer. The judge looked tired, but once I showed the video, he leaned forward. "Mr. Vince," he said, "you backed into this man's property, left the scene, and mocked him when confronted. Then you filed a countersuit with no evidence, no witnesses, and no legal standing. You're wasting this court's time." Vince crossed his arms and muttered, "It's a damn mailbox." The judge snapped, "And you damaged it. On camera. That's the end of it." He ruled in my favor. Vince was ordered to pay $475 total, including court fees. Had 30 days to pay or face a lien. When we walked out, Vince tried to talk to me. "Look, man, you didn't have to do all this. It was an accident." I stopped.
Turned to him.
"You had a chance to say that the first day. You chose to laugh." I figured that'd be the end of it. I didn't expect an apology, but I thought maybe he'd pay and leave me alone. But that's not what happened. Weeks passed. The 30-day deadline came and went. No check. No contact. I called the court clerk. She confirmed he hadn't paid. Said they'd issue a lien next. I asked what that meant exactly. If he owns property, we place a legal claim on it. If not, it stays on his record. Hurts his credit, can mess with employment or car loans. Eventually, it catches up to him. Turns out Vince didn't own the house, he was renting. So the lien wouldn't bite right away. But that didn't mean I was done. One morning, I was outside watering the grass when I saw his landlord, an older woman named Ruth, walking the property. She looked tired. I'd never talked to her before, but I figured now was as good a time as any. I said, "You the owner?" She nodded.
"Yeah."
"You having trouble with my tenant?" I told her everything. The mailbox, the camera, the court, the unpaid ruling. She sighed. "You're not the first neighbor to say something. I've gotten noise complaints, reports of trash, some late rent too." I handed her a copy of the judgment. She thanked me, said she'd review his lease terms. A week later, his truck was gone. Whole house emptied out. Word was, he'd skipped town. I thought, finally.
Peace.
But then, 2 months later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't answer. They left a voicemail.
"Hey.
This is Vince. I know we had our differences, but I just want to talk. I think there's more to this than you realize." I deleted it. Next day, another message. "Look, I know you probably hate me, but I just found out something about that footage. About your camera.
Can we talk?"
This time, I saved it. I went back and reviewed the footage again, frame by frame. I wasn't sure what he was hinting at. I thought maybe he was just trying to manipulate me into dropping the lien. But then I noticed something. In the far right corner of the screen, barely visible, was his passenger side door opening before he drove off. Only he was alone that morning. I'd assumed it was just him in the truck. But someone else had been there too. I zoomed in as much as I could. The resolution wasn't great, but it was enough to make something out. A shoe. Maybe a leg. Someone small, sitting low in the passenger seat. Then, just for a second, the door cracked open like they were going to get out. But then it shut.
Fast.
Like someone told them to stay put. It unsettled me more than I wanted to admit. I replayed it 5, 6 times. Then I opened the older footage. Not from the mailbox incident, but from a few days before. I started watching everything I had of that truck parked out front. In one clip, you can see him get in the truck late at night, around 11 p.m. This time, there's definitely someone in the passenger seat. Shorter.
Smaller.
Barely moving. No words exchanged. Next clip, he's back alone. I didn't know what to think. So I called the police station, not 911, just the non-emergency line. I asked to speak to Officer Denton, the one who'd helped me before. Left a message. He called back the next morning. I told him everything. The mailbox.
The court.
The skipped payment. The voicemail. The footage, especially the part about the passenger. He asked if I still had the clips. I said yes. He asked me to bring them in. That's when it got serious. 2 days later, I was sitting in a back office at the station while Denton and another officer, Detective Rains, watched the videos. They didn't say much, just kept rewinding,
Pausing.
taking notes. Finally, Rains looked at me and said, "You did the right thing bringing this in." "What does this mean?"
I asked.
"We've had a few reports tied to that truck. A missing person case. A minor." My stomach dropped. They didn't say much more, just that they'd be looking into it. Asked me not to talk to anyone about it until they followed up. I went home and sat on the porch for hours, not really seeing anything. Just staring. That kid, if it was a kid, had been right there in front of my house. And I hadn't noticed.
A week went by.
Then another. I didn't hear anything. I kept checking the news, local reports, anything about a missing kid or an arrest, but nothing came up. Then one morning, there was a knock at my door. It was Detective Rains' plain clothes. Serious look on his face. "We're going to need the full footage from your system," he said. "Not just the clips. Everything from the week before and after the incident."
I didn't ask why.
I handed him the external drive I'd already prepared. He hesitated before he left and said, "There's more going on than just your mailbox. We think Vince may have been involved in something he wasn't supposed to walk away from." I asked, "And the kid?" He said, "Still working on that." That night I got another call. Blocked number. This time he didn't sound angry. "Listen," Vince said, "you think you know what you saw, but you don't. That kid, he's not what you think. I was helping him. Keeping him out of worse places. You just made everything harder." I didn't say anything. I just let the voicemail sit there. The next day, a cruiser pulled up across the street. 2 officers stood outside for a while. One of them took pictures of the curb where his truck had been that morning 3 months ago. That's when I realized they weren't just looking into Vince. They were building a case. And I was the first one who caught anything. A few weeks later, I got a certified letter in the mail. From the Springfield Police Department. Not a court notice, this was different. Inside was a short statement confirming that Vince had been taken into custody out of state. Charges pending. They didn't say what for, not in detail. Just that the footage I'd provided contributed to an active investigation involving an endangered juvenile. That was the phrase they used. Endangered juvenile. They included a contact number in case I remembered anything else. But the truth is, I didn't have anything else to give them. Just grainy video and a gut feeling that came way too late. I never saw the kid's face. Not clearly. Just flashes of movement. A sneaker. A shoulder. The edge of a hoodie. I kept replaying it in my mind, wondering if they were scared, if they were trying to get out, if Vince stopped them. I started wondering about the nights before, if maybe I'd missed something else. Yelling, knocking, someone trying to run. I reviewed all the footage I had. Watched hours of nothing. Streetlights.
Wind.
Darkness. And then I deleted it all. Not out of guilt. I just couldn't look at it anymore. Now, when I go to the mailbox, the new one, I sometimes find myself glancing down the street where his truck used to be. I think about what could have happened if that camera hadn't been there. If I hadn't been stubborn. If I'd just accepted the damage and walked away like he expected me to. And sometimes I think about the voicemail. The last one. The way he said he was helping. Helping who? From what? Or from who? But that's the part nobody ever followed up on. They got what they needed.
They moved on.
And I'm left with a court record, a receipt for a new mailbox, and 100 questions no one's going to answer.